And we just made it, that was the destiny, no matter whatever happened. And he discussed times that he wasn't feeling well and he doesn't think he's going to be around. But he said no matter what, the job must go on.
Over the next 21 months, that destiny was achieved. Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, and then the holder of all 3 heavyweight titles.
My mission is to go and destroy and not to let anything get involved. If you get punched, you get hurt. I refuse to be hurt, knocked down, and knocked out. I can't lose. I refuse to lose.
Along with fame and fortune came the bliss of marriage and expected fatherhood, and also some problems. They began in March when Tyson's co-manager, Jim Jacobs, died of leukemia. Jacobs had not only become a big brother figure, but the champion's foremost protector.
When Jimmy was around, nobody wanted to come around me because it was forbidden to even come around me. Jimmy wasn't allowed. Now everybody wants to come around me and say, oh, I can do this for you, I can help you this way.
Since Jacobs' death, conflict has arisen behind the scenes. Is the new Mrs. Tyson and or Don King trying to lure him away from his longtime manager, Bill Caton?
The situation which occur here is really not a problem. Everyone else makes bigger issues than what they really are. You know what I mean? Don King's not my manager. Bill Caton's my manager. He's going to always be my manager as long as I'm fighting. Don King's my promoter.
There's a downside to his celebrity. For example, this story about a car accident said to have occurred during a domestic quarrel with his wife.
If something gets out of hand, I guess it gets put in the paper. You know what I mean? People are so ludicrous. They're out of their mind. You just have to look at the statements, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's unbelievable.
Whatever the case, at this point in time, Mike Tyson should have only one thing in mind: Michael Spinks. But is that the case?
And I believe in my mind, I'm the only one that's level-headed. Everybody else is losing their mind. Everybody else is paranoid. And even whatever I do, it's going to be my decision. Because I break my leg, we all stop getting paid. And even though we're friends, the main issue here is money. This is a business. Everybody wants to make money. Don't care if I have 50 million in the bank or 20 million. Everyone could always use a dollar.
Where Mike Tyson grew up in Brooklyn, these would be considered happy, unbelievably happy problems. But the boy King has had to become a man in a hurry to cope with the real world outside the ring. This isn't kid stuff. Mike Tyson insists that he won't be buffeted about by the winds of the war surrounding him. We have a couple of men who might give us some insights into that situation. Phil Berger of the New York Times, who broke the original story of this split-up, and Jose Torres, the former light heavyweight champion, former boxing commissioner of the state of New York, currently an author. Phil, what are the dynamics of this situation? Who wants what?
What you have here is a manager, Bill Caton, who very early on after Jim Jacobs' death felt that moves were being made on Mike Tyson, the fighter, by Don King, the promoter. And as other players have been drawn into that, and that's been Tyson's wife, Robin Givens, and her mother, Ruth. And their attorney, Michael Winston, has also become a new player in the situation.
This is certainly nothing new in boxing.
No, it reminds me 10 years ago when I first began covering boxing of the Leon Spinks situation. He was being buffeted, as you said before, by various factions trying to control him. And at the time, the Playboy piece I did on him had an illustration of Spinks with 1,000 different strings, a kind of puppet being manipulated and pulled and tugged at. And you could almost do the same thing with Mike Tyson. You could put his head on that body, and you'd have a very good illustration of what's going on right now.
Jose, you were a disciple of the great Cus D'Amato. You're a confidant of Mike Tyson. How is he being affected by this?
I think he has to be affected because at this stage, Tyson's head is very important for his job.
Something that Cus stressed very much, more than most trainers.
Exactly. And I think that, although I think that 30% of Tyson can beat 100% of Spinks, what would happen if he comes in with 25%? That has me very concerned.
So you're saying that this could be enough of a distraction that he loses his focus for this fight, and while worrying about a few percentage points here and there, he might blow the whole thing.
I would not be surprised if Butch Lewis could be a little bit behind all this stuff.
So it might benefit Michael Spinks, you're saying. Phil, are we going to have a real eruption among these contending forces soon?
Well, I think there's going to be a fight after the fight, but I'm getting the sense from talking to the players in this situation that things are going to be happening and the situation will be mushrooming over the couple of weeks leading into the fight. We haven't seen the last of this conflict.
As a confidant of Mike Tyson, what have you been telling him, Jose?
I've been telling him to dedicate himself to training and to winning fights. And he promised me that he would do that.
Thank you so much, Phil and Jose. Big money and big problems go together like horse and carriage. Michael Spinks has been finding ways to deal with big problems and big guys, if not big money, all of his life. Michael Spinks isn't an ordinary fighter.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go here. I know y'all thought I was cracking up, man.
His style is intelligently unorthodox. His approach to life, as well as boxing, is unusually open-minded. The combination has brought him to the top of his profession.
As a kid, I did a lot of things a certain way, and a lot of things didn't work out. So when I did try to do something a little different, I learned that it works better.
He learned a lot in the ghettos of St. Louis. When older brother Leon would beat someone up, the victim frequently sought vengeance against the smaller Michael. Eventually, they both became fighters, and in 1976, they became the first brothers to win gold medals in the same Olympics. In 1981, after taking time off to help his brother, Michael became light heavyweight champion. 2 years later, he had to deal with the death part of life. Suddenly, he was a single parent.
When Michelle would ask me, where's her mommy? And where's Sandy? And right then and there, I couldn't hold on. And I would break down. That was more difficult for me to deal with than anything else.
2 months after the tragedy, Spinks went through what was his hardest fight until then. He defeated the dangerous Dwight Braxton to become the undisputed light heavyweight champion. But for the real big bucks, like all light heavyweights through history, he would have to fight a heavyweight, the dominant heavyweight champion Larry Holmes. But since no light heavyweight champion had ever won the heavyweight title, Spinks chose to move up in weight through an unorthodox training program.
I feel well equipped for what I have to do so far. And I know, as weeks pass or days go by, I'm getting better, I'm getting stronger, I'm feeling better.
At 200 hard pounds, Michael Spinks was a legitimate heavyweight. But when the bell rang, it was his heart and skill that really mattered most. In one of boxing's big upsets, Spinks ended Larry Holmes' 7-year reign. He won by a unanimous decision.
You can't ever succeed in life or ever do anything in your life if you don't try. So I say I'm going to try.
The creation of the Heavyweight Unification Series brought Holmes and Spinks together again. 6 months later, the rematch was held. Spinks again was the underdog, and again the winner, this time in a very controversial decision. In the last 2 years, he has only fought twice, a total of 9 rounds. Here in a 4th round knockout of Stefan Tangstedt. Followed by another KO of a lumbering giant, Jerry Cooney, which is why some supporters still see Spinks as the champion. His record, 31-0. Tyson's 34-0.
June 27th will be a very sad day for anybody. It's a must that someone's must go, mine's or his.
Once upon a time, there were 2 other unbeaten heavyweight champions, and they gave us a fight that was, for most of us, indeed the greatest show on earth. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Jim Lampley steps into that time machine.